Hey guys, it's Destiny, and today I wanted to share my thoughts on a combination for Jing Liu that I think would be pretty powerful, which is Jing Liu and Pela. I'll be going over what Pela does, why it benefits Jing Liu, especially in comparison to our other DPS characters. And if you guys enjoy videos like these, make sure to subscribe. And also, if you do leave a like on the video, I heard it'll boost your chances of pulling Jing Liu very soon. Now though, let's get straight into the video. To begin, let's go over what we know about Pela's kit and what she's able to do for team comps. Pela is an Ice Nihility character. She has a focus on removing buffs from enemies, and she also has AoE debuffing capabilities. Pela's skill can remove a buff from one enemy, which could be useful for dealing with the Mara-struck enemies, for example, and Pela's ultimate is able to have a 100% base chance to reduce the defenses of all enemies by a pretty good amount depending on how much you level up her ultimate, and this will last for 2 turns as well. Pela can also regenerate energy from debuffing enemies once per attack and be able to buff her own damage through her traces as well. Pela is commonly compared to Silverwolf because of the value of their debuffing, but both can honestly be used on the same team since their defense debuffs are both considered separate debuffs on an enemy. So basically, you can have multiple defense debuffs on an enemy as a result. Pela's Eidolons also make her even more valuable, especially up to her E4, as she can reduce an enemy's ice resistance by 12% when her skill is used on them. So you'll be able to reduce defensive enemies with her ultimate and also her skill for reducing the ice resistance of enemies, which benefits her own damage as well as ice teammates, which is why I mentioned earlier that this could be a way that she could possibly also benefit Jing Liu a bit when it comes to how she benefits other characters. And for example, if you were to use Pela with someone like Honkai, while Pela still has a defense drop, Honkai can't really take advantage of the ice resistance drop, but Jing Liu will be able to. Plus, Pela can be pretty skill point positive, especially with an energy regeneration rope, as she'll be able to gain a good amount of energy back with her kit, even when she does a basic attack. So it can allow you to have really good rotations to have a very high upkeep on the defense decreases onto the enemy. As for how Pela would benefit Jing Liu, since Jing Liu has AoE capabilities with her ultimate and her Mara-struck form, Pela reducing the defenses of enemies will also allow Jing Liu to deal a hefty amount of additional damage to enemies. Also, if Pela does use her skill on an enemy, preferably the big boss enemy on the field, then Jing Liu will be able to go to town on the main enemy on the field, and the little enemies on the field as well, since once again, Pela will be able to debuff the big enemy by a lot and also the little enemies on the field. So as for a hypothetical skill point consumption example, since Jing Liu needs 2 stacks to transform, you'll want to use her skill twice in order to get into her Mara-struck form, which will not make you -2 skill points. But since Pela can be skill point positive with her normal attacks, then you can regenerate the skill points that Jing Liu uses for transforming, which from that point Jing Liu will be neutral with skill point consumption, since she won't be able to regenerate skill points during her Mara-struck form, but also won't lose them, which is really important. This is really similar though to Arlen and Blade, with them being more skill point neutral than anything. Of course though, if you do have E4 on Pela and are able to inflict the ice resistance debuff onto an enemy, then it'll be worthwhile to inflict it onto the main enemy on the field for Jing Liu to do additional damage. But overall, Pela can be awesome as a debuff queen and skill point generator for the team, since you'll likely not want to use Jing Liu's basic attacks very often, if at all if you can help it, since she benefits most, of course, from her skills and being in her Mara-struck form. So our 2 Ice Queens should be able to combo and synergize really well in my opinion, and I also want to discuss a few team comp concepts and ideas as well. As for partners or concepts, since Pela can be pretty skill points positive as I mentioned for a team and help out Jing Liu's damage, it allows your team to be pretty flexible with these 2. You could do a wombo combo with Blade, Jing Liu, Pela, and Sustain. Blade and Jing Liu will both benefit from Pela's defense dropping capabilities. And what's funny is while Blade and Jing Liu seem to have centuries worth of beef and drama, I think it's pretty funny that they possibly have a really good synergy with one another. The reason for this is because Jing Liu will be able to drain the team's health during her Mara-struck form, which allows Blade to follow up attack more often and reach his ultimate damage cap faster for more damage output. And Pela will be able to gain the team's skill points alongside the sustain you pick, which will allow you to be fine with skill points and skill point consumption and be able to destroy the enemy with the power of Blade and Jingliu together. Another team comp you can use is Mono Ice and Mono Quantum. You can use Jingliu, Pela, Silverwolf, and Fuxuan, which will allow you to inflict weaknesses pretty consistently with Silverwolf, and previously mentioned you can use Silverwolf's debuffs and Pela's together. So this could be great for Jingliu as well for damage. Plus, Fuxuan can also be great for increasing the crit rate of the team, which can benefit damage potential even more since you'll have an increased likelihood of dealing crits onto the enemy as well. Overall, when it comes to team building with Jingliu and Pela, you can use a good amount of units and it won't be too restrictive with who you compare with them as long as your sustain is good and you're able to be fine on skill point consumption, which shouldn't be too difficult. The last thing I wanted to talk about is recommendations onto how to build your Pela if you haven't already. When it comes to building Pela, I recommend ensuring she has a good amount of defensive capabilities, and if you do want some offense as well, that is fine. For an easy set to use that is also really universal, I recommend going with 4-piece Musketeer since she could take advantage of the attack bonus, speed bonus, and the basic attack, since you'll be basic attacking with her pretty often. For planar sets, I recommend Fleet of the Ageless or Broken Keel for supportive capabilities, and you can also consider Space Sailing for more often. For boots, I try to go for speed so that Pela can go often in turn cycles and be able to regenerate skill points in her ultimate as much as possible before debuffs of course on the enemy run out. But if you do get a lot of speed substats, then attack boots can likely be fine as well. I tried to aim for the 134 range or more on Pela though, just so she could cycle really often in turn cycles. I'd also make sure to get an energy regeneration rope to assist with her energy regeneration, since a rope can definitely help out quite a lot in order to ensure Pela gets her ultimate really fast and have a very good uptime on enemies. The rest of the main stats are more so for your choice if you want Pela more offensive or defensive as support. If offensive, the main stats can be like attack, ice sphere, and so on can be really good. And for a defensive Pela, you can look more into HP and defense pieces, and the same can also apply to substats. I try to ensure that you have enough speed, enough effect hit rate, and defenses so that Pela can have a really smooth time in battle. As for light cones, I'd recommend before the tutorial mission begins the most for the effect hit rate it gives you, and also regenerating energy faster since it'll allow you to regenerate extra energy when you do hit enemies who have a defense debuff, which can also pair pretty well with Silverwolf since the enemies should have a defense debuff at nearly all times, if not all the time, with proper rotations. Overall though, I believe Pela will be an awesome choice for Jingliu, and I'd love to know what you guys think and if you guys are excited as well for Jingliu. I thought I'd add that of course though there is more team comp options as Jingliu looks pretty flexible in my opinion, but I thought I'd share some thoughts and I hope you all enjoyed the video as I enjoyed sharing my thoughts. If you guys want to see more content from me, make sure to subscribe, leave a like to support the video, and also I will be releasing more Jingliu content this week. And lastly, I hope all of you have a great one like always. Peace.